What's going on, YouTube? It's RZ, and I got with me here Timour.
Yo.
And we just came back from clearly the Sonic movie. Yeah, this had it kind of annoying, but I'm gonna take that off. Hopefully, this doesn't get in the camera's way. But we just got back from the long-awaited review. I'm sure all of you have heard us talking about this movie since the first trailer dropped, and we finally got to see it.
Yep.
So it was a ride, man. It was clearly a big ride that everyone was waiting for, looking forward to, potentially waiting on, hating, and finally we did it. So let's just talk about it, guys. Without further ado, let's get to the review. I was trying to catchphrase. I don't know if it's gonna work, but here we go, guys. So as per usual with all our movie reviews, if you do not want to see spoilers, you can watch until this point in the video. Once you get to this point, then that will be our spoiler talk. But until then, we're just going to talk about the movie in general, just from a general person's perspective, just without spoiling any plot details. Not that there's too much to spoil with this movie, to be honest. Not much really happens. Well, stuff happens, but there's not much that I would say you consider a spoiler, unless you're like a hardcore Sonic fan and want to figure out facts and whatnot. But anyways, first impressions of the movie. We just watched it, so coming out of it, what did you think, Timour?
I thought it was a really well done movie. It was really solid. It didn't really have pacing issues, or a lot of pacing issues in my opinion. So I think it was a pretty smooth flow from start to finish. So yeah, first impressions, I definitely thought it was good.
Yeah, we're biased. We're Sonic fans, clearly.
Yeah, true.
I got the shirt and everything, but to be honest, it was a good movie, man. I like Detective Pikachu, those types of movies, and I thought that this one surpassed it by miles, in my opinion. And it's partly because of the pacing, partly because of the characters. Actually made me want more by the end of it. I wanted to see more of this movie. I kind of wish it was a little longer, maybe 2 hours and 30 minutes, or I would say closer to three, not 3 hours, but closer to the 2 hour, 30-minute mark or something. Definitely would have liked that. But let's get rid of the elephant in the room right away. Do you think that without the redesign, you would have thought the same about this movie? Or do you think the redesign really helped you push up? If everything else was the same, but it was just the same other design of Sonic from the first trailer, would you think the same that you do about this movie?
Personally, I think I would have thought more negatively about it. I think a lot of other people would have thought the same thing too. I think it's honestly kind of like a placebo effect. Even if it's the same movie, but the design is, a lot worse. There was already a lot of negative, publicity surrounding it. So I feel like people would have went into the movie with a more negative mindset, even if it was the same.
In general, it's just they made Sonic emote like he does in the games, and it really felt like it's a game character. The original design, I feel like they could not pull off half of what they did with, especially there. To be surprised, there are emotional moments in this movie. It does get you at times if you actually care for the characters, and they don't dwell on it too much. But I'm saying with the original design, I don't think they could have pulled that off, man. I honestly think that if they try to do these things, people would just make memes of it, which I'm sure people are gonna make memes of it because it's a Sonic movie at the end of the day.
True.
But I guess as per usual, without going into spoilers, obviously, what do you think of the main cast? So we had Sonic, we had Tom, played by James Madsen, and we had also Sonic was voiced by Ben Schwartz in this movie, and we also had Eggman / Robotnik, whatever you care to call him, and we'll get more into that later. But we had him played by Jim Carrey. Those were the three main characters. You had your other side characters if you want to talk about them a bit, but what do you think of the three, the main cast?
Basically, I didn't know who Ben Schwartz was at first, when they first announced he was the voice of Sonic. But I went and to see some of his others, some of his other works, and I thought he was pretty good. So I thought it was a good pick.
What does he do?
I think he was Leonardo in one of the Ninja Turtles.
Really?
Things. Yeah.
The 3D ones or the animated?
I think the animated.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I think there's some other stuff, but I don't remember off the top of my head. But yeah. So I didn't know exactly how he would have sounded as Sonic, but I think he pulled it off really well. I actually say he's one of my favorite Sonic voices of all time.
Really?
Yeah.
Better than Roger Craig, better than Jason Griffith, better than Ryan Drummond.
Maybe not Jason Griffith.
Jaleel
or Ryan Drummond. Maybe. It's debatable. It's
Oh,
debatable.
oh man.
But that's like a whole different
Yeah.
topic. But to stay on track, I think Jim Carrey was kind of like the big star. I remember when that movie's like first announced, people were like, he's gonna carry the movie, like no pun intended, because it's Jim
Yeah.
Carrey. But yeah, I think he did a really good job as Robotnik.
Mhm.
When he was first announced, I honestly like my knee jerk reaction was actually kind of negative.
Really?
Just because like with the way he looked. I mean, I knew he was gonna be funny, but I wasn't really a fan of like how they portrayed him. But now seeing the movie, I think he did a really good job. And
Okay.
then the cop Tom Wachowski or Wachowski, however you say it,
Yeah.
I honestly thought it was just gonna be like a character I didn't care about.
Like a
But
Chris Thorndike from Sonic X, man.
yeah,
Oh,
pretty much, yeah.
I was glad that that was not the case.
But yeah, I mean, I think he's a really good actor, and he really kind of had this like bond with Sonic throughout the movie that I really liked.
And he's pretty funny, man. The guy,
Yeah,
like, I didn't expect him to be. I expected him to try to make jokes and they'd fall flat, but
yeah,
a lot of what he did, like even his physical acting, is like really good.
yeah,
I
definitely.
mean, it doesn't beat Jim Carrey. I think Jim Carrey
Mhm.
stole it with the physical acting aspect of it. But I mean, look, let's get this out of the way right now. This movie is meant for kids.
Yeah,
It's meant for
definitely.
kids first and foremost. If most of the people in the theater were parents taking their kids to see this movie, which I expected, but we did see some, people our age actually laughing at some of these jokes. Now, granted, I think a lot of them are pretty face value jokes, but they do have some which are more like they have an underlying tone to them, I suppose. Like you can kind of, if you're an adult watching this, you'd be like, oh, okay, I get what he's saying there. Like kind of like in other animated movies like Toy Story, like they have, I guess, sexual innuendos, sort
Mhm.
of. I mean, like it's nothing that a parent would scoff at and be like, oh, really? I mean, maybe it's 2020, so you never know.
True.
But
Yeah.
no, about the characters though. Yeah, again, I pretty much agree with you. I think Ben Schwartz is Sonic great, and just the character in general throughout the movie great. They portrayed him not as there are many versions of Sonic, but in this one they went for a more carefree loner type guy, but he doesn't want to be a loner, and essentially like it's not the more I guess the one who cares about his friends and wants to protect them and is like a hero to everyone.
Yeah.
He does protect animals, but he's not like gonna go out of his way. He just kind of wants to have fun and do his own thing. So I like that. I like that version of Sonic a lot. And I'm glad they went with that one. And then secondly, Jim Carrey, yeah, great. He's funny, and at the same time, he takes more of an evil version of Robotnik here.
Yeah.
Some of these games recently they portray him as like he's supposed to be smart, but he's really an idiot. No, I mean Jim Carrey, like clearly they're pushing the fact that he has like 300 IQ, like Eggman's supposed to have. And I'm gonna use the names interchangeably. Sorry, it's just habit. But yeah, like honestly, like they did a good job with him. And then Tom, yeah, great. Like I just said, great actor. I'm really happy about it. So I guess without going into spoilers, um, what do you think of the plot? Did you like it? Did you feel like things were forced to like just make a story, or did you feel like everything kind of flowed well? I know you said the pace was good, but do you
Mhm.
think the plot itself was good?
I mean, I think it was good for what it was, but like personally, I thought it was a little generic. Like the whole, oh, I'm in the real world now. Video game character or like fantasy character in the real world.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know like Detective Pikachu kind of did that. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think it worked. Just like with the flow and everything, going from like different areas and all that. And just like the interactions with, like this hedgehog, like I don't know what the word's called, but like
Anthropomorphic.
yeah, that
Yeah.
in like the real world and like how other people view him, how like actual humans view him.
Yeah, and there's actually multiple people that like react to him.
Yeah.
Now it's pretty funny because there are side characters, and I think some of the side characters are better than your average side characters. Tom
Mhm.
has his own cop sidekick. I think his name is Wade. He's pretty funny. Like he's kind of like an idiot, but like at the same time he's kind of oblivious. So it's like, oh, okay, I get it. I get what they're trying to go with this guy. And Robotnik has his own guy. What does he call him? Rocky, I think, is the guy's name.
I don't remember.
He,
It was like Agent Stubbs or something.
Agent Stone.
Stubbs,
Yeah, that's what it was. He is really good. I don't know who the actor that plays him is, but he's really good too. Like he keeps a serious face where if I was in that presence of Jim Carrey, I'd be laughing my ass off for sure. But yeah, you know, we don't want to dwell too much on not telling you guys about the movie. And this is a Sonic movie, so we kind of got to go fast with this review here. So, what's it called? What would be your rating for this movie? Let's get right into it right now, right here. You know, I know there's gonna be people gonna be like, "Oh, you're biased," or there's gonna be people like, "Oh, really?" Like, I'm sure if it was another movie with the same plot, you give a different score. But look, we're just gonna give our score. We're not gonna argue. We're not gonna say anything else. These are our scores for Sonic the Hedgehog. So, what do you got, Timour, and why?
So I'm gonna give it a solid 8. That was actually kind of a little lower, like when I was first watching it. I think it started to pick up towards the end. Basically, I just kind of wish there was more references to the game, but I think I'm kind of biased in saying that. Like you said earlier, it's obviously geared toward like kids who probably never played the original games and all that.
Well, that's actually interesting you say that. Sorry to cut you off, but
Fine.
I saw there was one point where it's inevitable this is going to happen, but the rings scatter. And one kid in the theater literally says, that happens in the game. And it's you can hear it's a little kid. Yeah. So it's clear that the kids would get the references if they put them in. That's the only reason I was kind of like, I wish there was more. I agree with you on that. But yeah, continue.
Yeah, I'm thinking more of like, I guess, more obscure references, like the rings. That's kind of like a staple of the series.
I see what you're saying.
But I don't know, like, well, I don't want to like get into spoilers yet, but I guess we'll talk about it later. But,
okay. So you give it a solid 8, you said?
Yeah.
All right. Like I said, I left the theater wanting more. There were some parts that did feel a bit slow. I'm not gonna lie. Like the pacing was good for the most part, but there were some parts where I was like, kind of want to see some more action here, or more. Like it's clear that a lot of the budget went to the redesign. I feel like there could have been more action scenes in there, which there really wasn't, and a lot more speed related stuff. There was a lot of it. But I just feel like for a character who literally is all about speed, that should have been definitely the forefront. So I'm going to go with 8.5. It's almost a 9, literally could be a 10 if they stretched it out a little longer. But I feel like the focus at times was on the wrong stuff. So I did want more. I just wanted more of, Sonic interacting with Robotnik and stuff like that. Because there wasn't that much of that. Like there was him fighting drones and stuff, and they did fight. But there wasn't like enough to the point where I'm like, okay, this feels like this is the villain for Sonic. So 8.5 is my final score for Sonic the Hedgehog. With that being said, we're going to get into our spoiler talk now. And boy, do I have a lot to say about this movie. So I talked about this on our Buku cast. Check it out if you haven't. It's on the channel before. But origin stories. They start this movie out with an origin story of Sonic. Now, I'm a Sonic fan, not the giantest Sonic fan, but I'm a pretty big Sonic fan. So I know a lot of the different origin stories, not necessarily from the comics, but I definitely know a lot of different origin stories that have come out from the games. And never seen this one. Sonic is a baby, and he's guarded by an owl, of all things. And literally, the movie starts, and it just throws you into, hey, Sonic's got to escape from his world and go to the real world just because there are other people, aka echidnas, which surprisingly they brought the echidna tribes in. We're gonna get a little more nerdy with the spoiler talk, just forewarning for people who are more casual Sonic fans. So sorry in advance, but there are echidnas like Knuckles, and it's like the tribe, their tribe, and they chase him down. And the owl person, pretty much, it's assumed she dies, and she tells Sonic, take these rings and go. Whenever you're found, go and escape. And the rings are not Sonic's life source, but they are instead a way to travel, which is from the game because you can get into the special stages with the rings, which is pretty cool. Yeah. So I kind of liked that. But at the same time, it's like, okay, the rings are kind of supposed to be the life source. Secondly, Sonic is born with his powers. They're not, some of the games say they're from his shoes. Some other media says like there's other reasons he got his powers. In this universe, he's just born with them. So I guess, what did you feel about the origin story? I mean, it was pretty short, but what did you feel about it?
So honestly, if I had to be completely honest, I wasn't a huge fan of it. Because I remember you said like you didn't really want them to focus on it too much, but I actually feel like they didn't focus on it enough. If they wanted to kind of go that route, I feel like they should have just either left it out or expanded upon it a little bit more. because I don't know. I feel like it was just there to kind of give us a reason as to like, oh, why does Sonic have these powers? Why does he have the rings that transport him? It was just a little too short in my opinion, and there's no like development with the owl person. We don't really get to know much about her, so I feel like it kind of just fell flat in my opinion.
Well, to be honest though, I mean, I know we're getting ahead of ourselves. I feel like they did that, set up the echidnas and everything for like a sequel, because
True,
as
yeah.
we're gonna get into later, they're pretty much a sequel bait at the end of this movie, and I feel like they put this world there just to say, hey, this is there, this is gonna be there, and we're gonna explore this more later. But they didn't want to dwell on it too much in this movie because that wasn't the focus.
True.
That being said, I liked it. I'm a sucker for when you, unless your entire movie's origin story like the Joker. I really don't care about it too much, especially with Sonic. It's such a big name. Everyone knows Sonic, man. You ask our parents who are in their 50s if they know Sonic, they'll say yes. You ask people that are like older than them, and I'm pretty sure they'll at least know who Sonic is. You ask any adult today, they're definitely gonna know. You ask a kid today, they're definitely gonna know. He's still everywhere. Maybe he's not as popular as Mario, but definitely he's still out there as a big icon. So I don't feel like a long origin story was needed, and they did that perfectly. They introduced Tom perfectly. Very quick. They said he's a cop. He's not very good at his job. He really only protects animals and donuts and does like day-to-day tasks. And they introduce his girlfriend, who wasn't, I thought she was going to be kind of annoying or going to be a sidekick type character, but she's more so just kind of there. Not a bad thing. Definitely not a bad thing. And they kind of introduced the fact that, her family doesn't really like Tom being her significant other, and that's like a kind of subplot in there thrown in a bit, but it's not really dwelled on too much. The main focus of the story is Sonic and Tom, and they killed it, man. These two are a perfect cop and sidekick squad.
Yeah.
I really liked it, and I feel like the chemistry between them was really good, and you could definitely feel it. Like, you could feel it, and there are struggles between them, but it never escalates to a point where I'm like, seriously, they did this. And finally, the last thing about Sonic's powers I want to talk about real quick. What do you feel about the fact that I guess, I don't even know if this is actually true, they kind of hint that it's the quill, but I thought it more so he powers up to that electric state when he's emotional. Like when he gets angry or sad, like he'll power up to that electric state and it'll kind of like be a power surge. So like, what do you think about it? Did you think like that's the reason, or is there another explanation I'm missing here?
No, I think you're right. Like, it's the whole emotional thing, because like when we first see it, it's when he realizes like he has no friends when he's doing the baseball thing, and that's kind of what triggered it when he was running around the field like that. So that's kind of what it's implied as, but I don't know. I mean, maybe in like the sequel, if they do one, which it probably will, maybe that'll kind of explain it a little bit more. But I don't know.
Like I was like, they rarely showed that, and the ending was epic, by the way. Like he literally glows and his eyes turn blue, and I'm like, holy crap, this is awesome. Yeah. But by the way, no Chaos Emeralds in this. Just the rings. That's really the only thing you see from Sonic's world. Was there anything else? Like, I guess if you count mushrooms, like the Mushroom Hill Zone, but I really didn't count that. There are references to what Sonic likes. Well, not really what he likes, what he's starting to like with chili dogs, because he didn't even know what a chili dog was in this, and he eats it and he loves it. But we're skipping around. Okay, favorite scene. Let's just go with that, because that's something we always talk about. What was your favorite scene in this movie? Mine, dude, there's a lot, but I would say the bar scene when the dude's about to grab him and he slows down. He stops time, not slows down time. Stops time, does all these crazy things. You see this guy jumping through the soda in the air, and it makes a splash. And I was like, dude, this is so crazy. Now, I was someone who, back when the second trailer was announced, I was like, I kind of hope they don't do too much of the flash slow motion where everything else moves super slow and Sonic's moving super fast. I liked when they had like him reading the Flash comics and he's like after images of him. I think that's like a better way to show his speed. But I really like that scene, the bar scene, like, and then afterwards, like, boom, it's kind of like a chaos control type thing where he froze time, and then like everything just boom goes back and everything just appeared again. I really like that. That was my favorite scene for sure. And like afterwards, him and Tom are just actually buddies, like in the hotel room, and you see Tom figure out, oh, this guy actually like wants a friend. Like he's not just a self-centered dude who just wants to have fun. He actually doesn't know what it's like to have friends. And it was a mixture of really cool action, really cool set pieces, but also emotional stuff. So yeah, what was your favorite scene?
It's a tough one. I mean, there's definitely a lot. The one that I initially thought of was the one that you mentioned with the bar scene.
Mm-hmm.
If I had to choose, it would have to be like one of the scenes with Robotnik, because I think he was just hilarious. Maybe like the scene with him dancing. That was really funny.
Oh yeah, and then the dude comes with the lattes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really cool. Like the music choice, I liked a lot too. There was a lot of rock type music, and was it mostly 90s? I'm not 100% sure, to be honest, but I do know like it definitely felt it felt like inspired by like, Sonic's all about rock and doing all this stuff and rock and roll and stuff. And I thought that was pretty cool. But definitely another thing about Robotnik, that's why I said we'll get to this later. Sonic calls him Eggman, just like he does in Sonic Adventure 1. And I was waiting for it. I was like, is he going to call him Eggman? Is he going to call him Eggman? He calls him Eggman. And the name is going to stick for the future. Sonic's definitely calling him Eggman. Actually, Sonic has nicknames for everyone. What does he call him? He calls Tom Donut Lord. He calls his girlfriend Maddie Pretzel Lady. And then there's a dude called Crazy Carl, who apparently is like, think of it like Crocker from Fairly Odd Parents. He thinks the Sonic's real when no one else believed him, and then finally, they find him. But the side characters are really funny too, man. But overall, really, really solid movie, guys. Like if you're a Sonic fan, definitely see it. You're gonna like it. There's gonna be parts that are cringy. Okay, it's a 2020 kids movie. You're gonna see flossing multiple times. Sadly, I'm not gonna lie, but you're gonna see stuff like that in there. But there are other cool things for adults from the 90s as well. He references Star Wars movies. He references other stuff that only 90s kids would understand. Some of the stuff is foreign to Sonic that like he's like, what the heck is this? I really don't know. It kind of feels like if you brought a 90s kid into the 2020 and was like, he's like, what is half of this stuff? But that is kind of a nitpick to me too. There are some things I can't remember off the top of my head, but there are some things that Sonic just seems oblivious to. And then there's like another piece of technology where he already knows like how it works. Like for instance, I guess this was a thing in the 90s. Well, then again, I guess it was a thing in the 90s, but like he goes around the San Francisco building and then he figures out, oh, we need a key card to get into the thing. Like, how would you know that if you've never been in around technology before this? Like, I don't know. There are nitpicks you can definitely do, but for the most part, it's pretty consistent, pretty well thought out. And I think they did a good job with it. I mean, do you think it's faithful? Do you think this is a faithful movie to the Sonic franchise? If you're a Sonic fan, can you recommend this to other Sonic fans?
Is it faithful? I mean, I would say it's not faithful in terms of like, referencing the games too much. I feel like it's kind of like a new take on Sonic. Like the way I kind of saw it was, it's like if someone who kind of just knew what Sonic was, but didn't really like play the games extensively. If they were to kind of go in and make the game or make the movie, it's not to the point where it's like out of touch where they completely misinterpret, what Sonic's about. But I still think it's really well done, from that aspect. So I think you could definitely go and watching it from the perspective as a Sonic fan. I just think you're going to be a little bit let down in terms of like all the references. If you're looking for like a lot of like obscure references like I was, you might be a little bit let down.
I counted about a little over 10 if I really have to think about it with music and everything. A little over 10, and I predicted 15 to 20, but it was nowhere near close to that. So let's talk about the two after credit scenes. Well, one's like an epilogue pretty much. The epilogue is Eggman, because the whole thing is Sonic's trying to get to this mushroom place. It looks like Mushroom Hill Zone, but not as vibrant. So when the rings can transport him as long as he thinks where he wants to go and he gets there. So he's supposed to go there to escape because Robotnik's chasing him, and he ends up sending Eggman there instead, or Robotnik there instead. And pretty much that's where it ends. And you see, like, they spoiled this in the first trailer, by the way. Everyone called this because they were doing damage control on the original design. They literally showed the part where he puts the goggles on, Eggman, and he has the real mustache and the real suit and everything. and yeah, he talks about his Lieutenant Stone guy as an actual stone and throws it. He's like, reconnaissance or something like that. I like that. And, it's clear that they're going to bring him back as a more crazy villain in the next sequel. Speaking of that, after credit scene. Well, first, what did you think of that scene?
I mean, like you said, we kind of saw it already. So
You think if we didn't see it, that it would have been like more of like, oh, cool.
No, yeah, definitely. Because, I mean, we were all kind of expecting it to happen at the end. Yeah. So I would have been like way more surprised.
Okay. And finally, we see the after credit scene. It's more like a mid credit scene. You see a portal, and you're like, wait, Sonic has all the rings, and Tom does. And then Tails emerges from the portal, looking pretty good. I'm not going to lie, looking pretty good. And I think it's the same voice as his game voice actress currently. If anyone knows who the voice of Tails is, we didn't see it in the credits. Be sure to leave a comment below. But yeah, Tails is there, and he's searching for Sonic. Clearly, he knows about Sonic, but at the beginning of the movie, we saw that Sonic didn't know anyone. So, does this mean Tails found one of the quills and is looking for that power source? And also, you can see that Tails can clearly fly, and he looks like he's as fast as Sonic. So is it just everyone from Sonic's world is fast, but like they each have their own abilities? I don't know. What do you think about that after credit scene, man? Do you think this movie deserves a sequel?
I think it does, because there's a lot more that I want to see from it. Because as I said earlier, like the origin story, I wasn't the biggest fan of. So I think that's something they could expand on. So I think there's a lot of room to, build off of what they had here. So I assume that the movie is going to do well, just because it's Sonic. So yeah, I definitely think we're going to get a sequel, and I think it does deserve it.
But yeah, man, that was the Sonic movie. Any other thoughts you had about it? Any other scenes you want to talk about that you thought were significant? Like just in general, I think they did a really good job. Sega, they took a risk by putting their character into a video game movie because how crazy video game movies. I think game movies are becoming better though. Detective Pikachu is a stepping stone, and I think Sonic is definitely 100% up there now as one of the top tiers in terms of video game movies. There's gonna be people who are gonna be like, it's too childish. There's gonna be people who are like, I didn't like the human characters at all. They shouldn't even be there. And you know what? Honestly, what were they gonna do unless they made a fully animated movie? If they were going to go that route, they would have done that in like a CG animated type thing. And, if they did it the way they did it now and it was all like these types of characters, I don't think it would have worked as well. The intro proves that it can work, but I would have rather just seen it like a 3D CG movie at that point if you're going to go that route. So I think they did a great job. And, anyone who's saying that this movie is bad just because it has those human characters, I don't know what they're talking about. And, you give it a shot. That's all I'll say. If you want to have some fun, it's a kid-friendly movie. There's like one curse word in the entire movie, and it's not even a curse. And yeah, like literally just have fun and go watch it. I always bring this up since our first movie review, but if you like movies like Shazam, man, and go check out our review of that one. I mean, it's kind of dated at this point, but go check out our review of that one, and you'll see like this movie. I think it deserves, a lot of praise and definitely deserves a chance at a sequel without like all these redesigns and having to do stuff behind the scenes. But with that being said, we don't want our review to go too long. Again, this is the Sonic movie review, so we got to go kind of fast here. But thanks to everyone who stuck with us up to this point. We talk about this movie all the time, and since our first movie review, this is something I want to do. I'm sure Timour has heard me like I literally I would not shut up about this movie because I wanted to see it since the beginning. I was mad when it got delayed, but at the same time I was like, I understand it. It's a great Valentine's thing. We're gonna post this on Valentine's Day, so you'll have something to watch with your significant other if you want to watch our review. And we greatly appreciate everyone who sticks with us. So be sure to keep checking back on the channel for more reviews. And just because we feel like you guys did so much for us, getting us to 60 subscribers, and we want to continue growing. We want to give you guys something back. So if you go to Amazon and enter this code right here, you'll get $25 for free from us here at Gobuku. So like I said, if you go there, make sure you leave a comment below if you actually got the code to work. And hey, check back in the future videos, and we definitely will have more giveaways for you guys. But don't make that the reason you come to these videos. Make the reason you come to these videos to have fun, because that's why we're here. That's why we're doing this, because we love it, man. Like, we love interacting with you guys. We love talking to you guys, doing these skits, doing these reviews, and all this stuff. So again, hope you enjoyed the gift. Think of it like our Valentine's Day gift, because we love all our fans and everything.
Yep.
And with that being said, I've been RZ.
Yeah, this is Timour.
And we'll catch you on the next episode of our movie reviews, skits, whatever it is, over here at the Gobuku Studios. With that being said, we'll see you guys on the next one. See ya.
See ya.